The stars had always been silent witnesses to humanity, watching from their cold, distant places. But tonight, they seemed to hum with a strange energy, as if something had shifted in the vast emptiness of space. On the small research outpost orbiting a forgotten planet, Commander Jalen Kor stared at the flickering screen before him. It was a signal unlike anything he had ever seen, a pattern that seemed almost alive. His fingers hovered over the console, hesitant. "It can't be," he muttered, but deep down, he knew it was exactly what he feared. Across the galaxy, humans were considered fragile, laughable creatures, barely worth noting by the larger, older civilizations that had conquered star systems long before Earth had even become a single united planet. But that perception was about to change. A simple joke, one told by a human child on a distant, forgotten world, was about to echo across the universe in ways no one could imagine. Jalen had spent decades among the stars, studying alien cultures, deciphering languages that no one else could read, and cataloging technologies humans were never meant to understand. He had seen war machines capable of reducing planets to dust and weapons that could erase consciousness itself. And yet, nothing in his experience could have prepared him for this. The signal on his screen didn't come from a weapon, or a fleet, or even a star system in turmoil. It came from something smaller, something almost innocent. He leaned closer, squinting at the sequence. Beeps and chirps, arranged in a pattern so peculiar it almost looked like laughter. A joke. And not just any joke. An ancient human joke, passed down from generations, yet completely alien to the machines that now listened. Somehow, someway, the simplicity of human humor had been transformed into a force that no algorithm could predict. As the outpost's lights dimmed under the endless night of space, Jalen felt a chill run down his spine. He remembered the old stories, whispered by the first humans to leave Earth, tales of how laughter could survive even the harshest voids. But this was different. The pattern was expanding, spreading across frequencies, resonating with the raw energy of the cosmos itself. Every attempt to block it failed. Every attempt to analyze it only made it stronger. Far below, on the surface of the barren planet, automated drones detected unusual gravitational fluctuations. Rocks shifted in ways that defied physics. Storms erupted in pockets where there had been none. And above it all, the faintest echo of laughter hummed through the void, tiny but persistent, a spark of something impossible. In the control room, Jalen tried to warn the Council back on Earth. His voice was calm, but his hands shook. This isn't just a signal. It's something alive. Something that understands, reacts, and evolves. The response was polite but dismissive. After all, what could a human joke possibly do to a universe teeming with civilizations that had conquered stars? That night, as the artificial sun dimmed on the outpost, a shadow moved in the observation deck. Not a shadow of a person, but a ripple, a distortion, like the air itself had begun to breathe. Jalen froze, unsure if his mind was playing tricks on him or if the signal had finally taken form in a way he could see. The lights flickered, and a whisper, just a whisper, reached his ears. "Do you want to hear it again?" He blinked, heart racing. The words were in no language he recognized, yet he understood them perfectly. They carried the cadence, the timing, the essence of a joke. And in that instant, he realized the truth. The joke was no longer just a joke. It had become something else, something that could move, think, and perhaps even fight. Meanwhile, in distant star systems, alien fleets detected the same anomaly. Their weapons, primed to destroy entire worlds, faltered. Shields failed. Communications scrambled. No one understood why. All they knew was that a simple human joke had entered their domain, and nothing in their experience could stop it. Back on the outpost, Jalen knew that he was witnessing history in the making. This was the beginning of a story that would change everything humans thought they knew about themselves and the universe. Somewhere, hidden in the folds of space and time, laughter had become a weapon. A weapon that could topple empires, that could turn the mighty into the powerless, all without firing a single shot. And as the first faint ripple of its power brushed against the outpost, Jalen could only hold his breath and wonder, How had humanity, the smallest and weakest of all species, created something that the universe would soon fear above all else? The outpost trembled as the signal's strange energy pulsed through the walls. Lights flickered, screens flashed, and for a moment, it seemed as if the outpost itself had taken a breath. Commander Jalen Kor stood frozen, his mind racing. He had never felt fear like this before, not in the heat of battle, not facing collapsing stars or alien war machines. This was different. This was something alive, something that didn't belong to any known law of the universe. He glanced at the recording console. The laughter, the signal, was still there, looping endlessly, but now it was heavier, almost deliberate. Each tone, each pause, carried weight. It wasn't just sound, it was a rhythm that spoke of intelligence, strategy, even malice. Somewhere, somehow, the universe's most ancient calculations had been fooled by what seemed like a childish human joke. Jalen's calm link crackled. "Commander, do you read me?" It was Lieutenant Mara Chen, her voice steady but tense. "Sensors are picking up something moving outside the perimeter. Not ships, not drones, but something alive." He swallowed hard. "I see it. Keep your distance. Don't approach." His fingers hovered over the emergency shutdown switch, but he didn't dare press it. Whatever this was, shutting it down might make it worse. Outside the observation windows, space seemed to ripple. Stars wavered as if the universe itself had caught a cold. The signal was spreading, invisible but undeniable. Objects that should have remained in perfect orbit wobbled, their paths distorted. Instruments that measured gravitational fields were going haywire. And somewhere in the blackness, tiny sparks of light flickered, not like stars, not like ships, but like hints of a presence watching, waiting. Mara's voice broke through again. "Commander, it's forming shapes. Not solid shapes, more like shadows or reflections. But they move like they're alive." Jalen clenched his jaw. A joke shouldn't do this. A joke shouldn't be this powerful. His mind went back to old stories his grandmother had told him when he was a boy on Earth. Stories of laughter that could echo through the cosmos, tales that sounded impossible, like bedtime fantasies. He had laughed then, thinking they were just myths. Now, he realized he had been wrong. They were warnings. The outpost's alarms blared. The signal had started to interfere with all systems. Life support flickered, screens froze, and the artificial gravity wavered. Crew members stumbled, holding onto walls, eyes wide with disbelief. Jalen barked orders, trying to keep everyone calm. "Everyone, secure yourself. Do not leave your stations. This is new. Stay focused." But focus was impossible. Outside, the darkness twisted, stretching in impossible ways. Small, glowing points of light darted past the windows, forming patterns that almost looked like letters. Jalen squinted. Could it be language? Could a joke really carry meaning that even alien minds couldn't comprehend? A sudden blast shook the outpost. Not an explosion, but a pulse that seemed to pass through the walls like water. Instruments exploded, throwing sparks into the air. Crew members screamed. Mara grabbed Jalen's arm. "It's learning," she shouted. It's adapting." Jalen's heart pounded. No, that's impossible. And yet, he couldn't deny what he saw. The signal, the joke, was changing, shifting, finding weak points in the outpost's defenses. Every attempt to isolate it failed. Every calculation, every plan, collapsed under its influence. Then, a sound echoed through the empty corridors, faint at first, almost playful. A single, crisp laugh, human, unmistakable, yet terrifying. It was a child's laugh, innocent and cruel at the same time. Jalen felt the hair on his neck rise. This wasn't just a signal. It wasn't just a weapon. It was aware. It was waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Desperate, Jalen turned to the main console. If he could trace the origin of the joke, maybe he could stop it before it spread beyond the outpost. But as he ran the calculations, he realized it wasn't coming from anywhere. It was everywhere. It had no origin. Like the universe itself had learned to laugh. Mara leaned close. "Commander, what if it's not just a signal? What if it's a living thing?" Jalen's jaw tightened. He hated admitting it, but every instinct screamed that she was right. "Then we're too late. It's already alive, and it's growing stronger with every second we waste." The outpost shuddered again. Windows cracked. Tiny fires sparked along the walls. And from the darkness outside, the faint shapes of light began to take form. Glowing, twisting, almost humanoid, but shifting too quickly for the eye to follow. They weren't attacking yet, but Jalen knew it was only a matter of time. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. "Mara, prepare the containment protocols. Alert Earth. Tell them we found something beyond comprehension. Something that might be the deadliest force the galaxy has ever known." And all it started with a joke. Mara's eyes widened. A joke? How can that be possible? Jalen looked at her, voice low, steady, but trembling just enough to reveal his fear. "I don't know, but whatever it is, the universe is about to learn what humanity has always known. Even the smallest thing can change everything." The outpost groaned under the invisible weight of the joke, and for a moment, the universe seemed to pause. Then, from the darkness, a single pulse of laughter shot straight through the walls, straight into their minds, and Jalen understood. Nothing would ever be the same again. The signal had spread beyond the outpost before anyone even realized. Across light years of empty space, human colonies and alien civilizations alike began to notice strange distortions. Starships suddenly lost control, communications garbled into meaningless sounds, and navigational systems failed for no reason. In the grand halls of alien fleets, commanders stared at their instruments in disbelief. "Impossible," whispered one. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly as if trying to reset his perception of reality. "Our calculations, they cannot fail." But fail they did. Everywhere, the simple, childish pattern, once a harmless human joke, was twisting reality itself. It moved through radio waves, laser communications, even gravitational fields. Nothing could block it. Nothing could contain it. Back on the outpost, Commander Jalen Kaur and Lieutenant Mara Chen watched in horror as their instruments began to record shapes that made no sense. The shapes were fast, almost alive, twisting and reforming in seconds. "It's not just a weapon," Jalen said quietly. "It's thinking, planning, adapting." Mara shook her head. "It's a joke. A simple joke. How can a joke do this?" Jalen clenched his fists. "We underestimated ourselves. And everyone else. Humans always had something no one else could understand. Creativity, humor, unpredictability. And somehow, that unpredictability has become its own force." Outside, the shapes moved faster, sending pulses that shattered glass and disrupted circuits. Crew members huddled in the corridors, fear etched on their faces. No one could hide. No one could escape the invisible waves that carried the joke's power. Suddenly, alarms blared from the outpost's long-range scanners. Hundreds of alien ships appeared, war machines capable of destroying entire planets. And yet, they were frozen, caught in the invisible grip of something beyond their comprehension. Lasers charged and fizzled. Shields flared and collapsed. No one could understand why nothing worked. Jalen stared at the holographic display, heart pounding. "It's not targeting us, yet. It's learning them first." Mara's voice trembled. "Learning them? But why? What does it want?" Jalen shook his head. "I don't know. But humans created it, so maybe it's like us. It wants to survive. It wants to make them understand something." In the distance, one of the alien commanders tried to fire a massive cannon at the outpost. The beam started, then twisted into impossible patterns, turning back on the alien fleet itself. Ships were damaged, some destroyed instantly. The survivors scrambled in confusion, unable to comprehend what was happening. The outpost trembled again as the shapes pressed closer. Jalen realized something terrifying. The joke didn't need to be physical to fight. It used the enemy's own technology, their own weapons, against them. Intelligence, logic, and firepower. Nothing worked against it. Mara's eyes widened. Commander, it's like it knows them better than they know themselves. It's reading them. Jalen nodded grimly. Exactly. And the longer it learns, the stronger it gets. If it reaches the core of the galaxy, no one will be safe. Suddenly, the shape at the edge of the observation window shifted into something resembling a human child. Its face was smiling, innocent yet cruel. It opened its mouth, and the echo of laughter rang in every mind aboard the outpost. Crew members screamed as memories, fears, and private thoughts were pulled to the surface. The joke wasn't just a weapon, it was a mirror, showing the universe its own weakness in the most human way possible. Jalen stepped back, voice low but firm. Mara, this is why we fight. Humans are small, weak, but unpredictable. And now, that unpredictability has become the deadliest thing in the galaxy. Outside, alien fleets began to retreat, but not out of strategy or fear of humans. They fled because the signal had taught them to fear themselves, their own machines, and the unpredictability of reality itself. Jalen realized something profound. Humanity's strength wasn't in armies, weapons, or technology. It was in imagination, laughter, and the ability to see the universe differently than anyone else. And the universe was learning that the hard way. Back in the control room, Mara whispered, almost to herself, "It's just a joke, and yet, it's everywhere. Nothing can stop it." Jalen looked at her, voice heavy with determination. "Then we don't stop it. We guide it. We use it. If a joke can destroy fleets, maybe it can also protect us." The outpost shuddered again. Shapes of light danced across the observation windows, forming symbols, patterns, and letters that no one alive could read, but Jalen felt them in his mind. The universe was laughing now, and humanity had written the punchline. And somewhere, deep in the pulse of the cosmic joke, Jalen knew this was only the beginning. The universe's most feared battle cry had just begun to echo. And it carried a message. The smallest things could change everything, and the greatest powers were about to learn to fear the unpredictable. The outpost trembled as distant alien fleets tried to regroup, but the joke had already spread too far. Commander Jalen Kaur stood in the command center, eyes fixed on the main screen. The shapes outside had grown larger, faster, smarter. They pulsed with light, almost like breathing, twisting through space as if it were alive. "Commander," Mara said, her voice steady despite the chaos, "they're trying to attack again. But their weapons, they're failing." Jalen nodded. "Yes. And this time, we'll use it to our advantage. They underestimate humans. They always do." Outside, the first alien ships moved in formation, attempting to surround the outpost. But the shapes of light, the living joke, stretched toward them, warping space around the ships. Lasers bent back on their owners. Engines sputtered and faltered. Alien pilots screamed as their machines betrayed them. Jalen clenched his fists. "Mara, initiate the humor protocol. It's time to turn this into a weapon." Mara's eyes widened. "You mean, guide it? Control it?" "Not control," Jalen said. "Influence it. The joke is alive, yes, but it reacts to intent. If we focus, we can make it fight for us." The command center filled with the soft hum of instruments as Mara began coordinating with the crew. They projected human laughter, memories, and even old Earth jokes into the signal. The shapes outside reacted immediately, twisting and brightening, forming precise patterns that aimed at the alien fleet. The first attack hit. A massive warship fired a laser at the outpost, and instantly, the joke redirected it. The beam bent into the enemy formation, slicing through multiple ships before collapsing into nothing. The aliens panicked. Ships collided, weapons backfired, and chaos spread like wildfire. Jalen watched, his heart racing. "It's working. The joke is learning faster than they can adapt. Keep feeding it humor, human unpredictability. Make it impossible for them to predict us. Mara nodded, guiding the flow of human creativity into the signal. Crew members laughed, shouted, and even sang old songs, sending waves of human essence into the cosmic force. The shapes outside pulsed and twisted, shaping themselves into impossible forms. Dragons with wings made of light, armies of soldiers with faces smiling like clowns, towers of energy spinning in impossible geometry. The alien fleet tried to counterattack, but every strike was intercepted or redirected. Weapons turned on their own ships. Shields collapsed at the wrong moment. Communication systems became a jumble of nonsensical sounds. The aliens were helpless against something they could not understand, something that obeyed no logic except human creativity. A small, childlike figure appeared in the void near the largest alien ship. Its laugh rang out across the void, cutting through shields and hulls alike. The figure's eyes glowed with mischievous intelligence, and for the first time, Jalen felt a connection. This was not just a weapon. It was a reflection of humanity itself, playful, unpredictable, and unstoppable when united. "Commander," Mara whispered, "it's responding to emotion too. Joy, fear, surprise. It reacts to what we feel, not just what we think." Jalen smiled grimly. "Then let's make them feel everything. Fear, confusion, and awe. That's how humans survive. That's how we win." Outside, the joke expanded, spreading like a wave across the battlefield. Alien ships were forced into disarray, crashing into each other, exploding in showers of fire and energy. The universe had never seen a battle fought like this. No bullets, no missiles, no armies. Just laughter, creativity, and the raw unpredictability of humanity made manifest. The outpost crew watched in awe and fear. They were safe for now, but the cost was clear. The joke was alive, unpredictable, and immensely powerful. If it ever turned on humans themselves, no one could stop it. Jalen looked at Mara. "We have to remember that. This isn't a toy. It's a weapon, yes, but also a responsibility. We are guiding something far greater than ourselves." Mara nodded, eyes wide. "And the aliens, they'll never forget this. They'll spread the story, and soon, the entire galaxy will fear humans, not for our fleets or our weapons, but for what we can create from nothing. From humor." Jalen stared at the screen, watching the last of the alien ships retreat in disarray. A soft ripple passed through the shapes of light outside, and the faintest echo of laughter reached the outpost's corridors. It was playful, teasing, almost proud. The commander whispered, almost to himself, "This is only the beginning. The universe has learned to fear the smallest, strangest thing humans ever made. And we are just getting started." Outside, the stars returned to their normal positions, or so it seemed. But in the vast emptiness, the shapes of light lingered, a reminder that even a joke could become the most feared weapon in the galaxy. And humanity, the tiny, fragile species, laughed at the stars and found its place among them. The battle had ended, but the echoes lingered. Outside the outpost, the shapes of light, the living joke, pulsed gently, no longer attacking but watching. Commander Jalen Kaur and Lieutenant Mara Chen stood in the command center, exhausted, hearts still racing from the chaos they had witnessed. This is unbelievable," Mara said softly. "We didn't just survive. We defeated them. And without firing a single weapon." Jalen nodded slowly, staring at the screens. "We guided it, yes. But it wasn't us. It's alive. It's learning, adapting. And it's not done yet." Outside, small pulses of light moved in patterns that seemed almost playful, teasing, like a child testing its strength. The outpost crew watched in awe and fear. They realized something profound. The joke weapon was no longer just a tool. It was a living force of the universe, reflecting humanity itself, playful, clever, unpredictable, and immensely powerful. Back on Earth, reports arrived in waves. Alien fleets that had witnessed the battle described the events with terror. Entire star systems began spreading rumors of the tiny, fragile humans who had defeated empires with laughter. Scientists struggled to explain it, generals worried, and diplomats feared what this meant. Humans had become a species the galaxy could no longer ignore. Jalen leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. "They'll come back," he said quietly. "They'll want revenge. And the joke? It will evolve again. It's learning not just from us, but from them too." Mara frowned. "Do you think it can destroy them completely?" Jalen shook his head. "I don't know. That's not our goal. Our goal is survival and understanding. If it can protect us, guide us, then maybe we can avoid total war. But one thing is certain, the galaxy will never underestimate humans again." Outside the outpost, the joke shifted. The light patterns twisted into strange, abstract shapes. Sometimes they resembled humans, sometimes creatures that no one had ever seen. And occasionally, the shapes seemed to laugh, a soft, musical sound that resonated in the minds of anyone who heard it. It was playful, yes, but there was also a warning. "Commander," Mara said, pointing at the screen. "Look at that. The shapes, they're forming patterns in space, almost like messages. Is it communicating?" Jalen leaned forward. His heart raced. He couldn't read the messages, not yet. But instinct told him they were important. Yes, it's communicating. With us. With them. Maybe even with the galaxy itself. This is bigger than anything we've ever faced. Far away, alien empires were already reorganizing. Reports of the battle spread like wildfire. Leaders trembled as they realized that humanity had something no one else could match. Fleets that once ruled entire star systems now feared a species barely a few thousand years old, armed with nothing more than imagination, humor, and unpredictability. And somewhere, in the void of space, the joke itself pulsed with life, feeding off stories, emotions, and reactions. It evolved faster than any AI or weapon the galaxy had ever known. It was no longer a simple human joke, it had become a force of nature, unpredictable and unstoppable. Back on the outpost, Jalen watched the shapes carefully. He knew that guiding it was a delicate balance. One wrong move, one lapse in focus, and the joke could turn against them. Yet, he also knew that this was humanity's greatest opportunity. Their creativity, humor, and unpredictability were finally being recognized, not as weaknesses, but as the ultimate form of power. Mara shivered, staring at the patterns outside. "Commander, do you think the galaxy understands what we've done?" Jalen shook his head. "Not yet. But they will. And soon, every civilization will have to think twice before underestimating humans again. We are small, fragile, but we are clever. And sometimes, cleverness can be more powerful than fleets of warships." The outpost crew slowly returned to their stations, still wary of the living force outside. They laughed nervously, told small jokes, sang songs, and watched as the shapes of light responded, twisting and turning in delight. The joke was alive, and for the first time, humans felt its true potential. Jalen spoke softly, almost to himself. "This is just the beginning. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. And neither will the universe." Outside, the stars twinkled as if in agreement. The shapes of light pulsed gently, forming patterns that no one could predict. Somewhere in the vastness of space, the echo of laughter lingered, a reminder that even the smallest, simplest human acts could shake the foundations of the cosmos. And humanity, fragile and clever, had found a weapon no one could resist, a battle cry that would echo through the stars for generations. The galaxy was buzzing. News of the humans' strange victory had traveled faster than any fleet could move. Across star systems, leaders met in secret councils. Plans were drawn, alliances forged, and spies sent, but all with one fear in common: humans. On the outpost, Commander Jalen Kaur studied the latest reports, his brow furrowed. "They're not just scared," he said quietly to Mara Chin. "They're trying to negotiate. They know they can't fight us directly. And the joke, it's growing stronger every day." Mara stared at the observation window. The shapes of light floated beyond the outpost, twisting and pulsing in patterns that were mesmerizing. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "But dangerous. What if they come here to attack us anyway?" Jalen shook his head. "They won't. Not yet. They'll try diplomacy first. They know this is no ordinary human trick. They fear it, and rightly so. We've changed the rules." Reports came from distant fleets. Alien diplomats, the most cunning in the galaxy, were sending emissaries with peace offerings, trying to understand humanity's strange power. The living joke responded differently than before. It pulsed, twisted, and formed shapes that seemed almost like gestures. Jalen realized it was interacting with the aliens' messages, translating human creativity into a universal language they could somehow sense. Mara looked at him, wide-eyed. "So, the joke is talking to them?" Jalen nodded. "In its own way. It's showing them who we are. Not just what we can destroy, but what we can create. They will remember this forever. Every fleet, every leader, every soldier, they'll fear humans in a new way. Not for our weapons, but for our mind." Outside, the shapes of light grew larger and more intricate. They twisted into spirals, geometric patterns, and impossible structures that floated through space like living art. Crew members watched in awe. No one had ever seen anything like it. The joke was no longer a weapon in the conventional sense. It was a force of influence, intelligence, and unpredictability, a living manifestation of humanity itself. The first alien emissary finally arrived. Their ship hovered near the outpost, silent and wary. From within, a delegation of diplomats watched, unsure how to proceed. Jalen and Mara met them in the observation room. The aliens spoke cautiously. "Humans, your actions are unprecedented. Your fleet, your weapon, we cannot comprehend it. Explain yourselves." Jalen remained calm. "There's nothing to explain. You've seen what we can do. This is who we are. You may fear it, but that fear is earned. You may try to imitate us, but you cannot. The universe has its own rules, and we've discovered one it never expected: unpredictability, creativity, humor. That is our strength." The aliens paused, confused, frustrated, but unable to deny the truth. The living joke outside pulsed in response, forming shapes that seemed to emphasize his words. It was almost as if the force itself were agreeing with him. One alien spoke again, more cautiously this time. "Your power, it is not just destructive. It influences. It shapes minds, decisions, reality. You are small, yet you wield something beyond understanding." Jalen nodded. "Exactly. And that is why diplomacy is better than war. You can try to fight us, but it will only make things worse. Instead, understand us. Respect what humans are capable of, and maybe we can coexist." Mara whispered to Jalen, "Do you think they will listen?" He shrugged. "Some will. Others will never forgive or forget. But every civilization that saw what we did knows one thing for certain: humans cannot be ignored." As the emissary departed, the living joke expanded further, stretching across light years of space. It touched distant systems, reaching the edges of the galaxy with waves of unpredictability. Alien fleets scrambled, unsure what to do. No one could calculate its next move, and that uncertainty alone became a shield for humanity. Jalen turned to Mara. "We've created something that cannot be controlled, only guided. And it will teach the galaxy a lesson they'll never forget: underestimate humans at your own risk." Mara looked out the window, awed. "Do you think it will ever stop growing?" Jalen smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and fear in his eyes. "Not while humans exist. It evolves with us, learns with us. And one day, the entire universe will understand what we've known all along. Sometimes the smallest, strangest things are the most powerful." The shapes of light pulsed gently, forming new patterns that shimmered with strange intelligence. They were playful, yes, but also deliberate. The galaxy had been warned. The humans had declared their presence not with war, but with the most unlikely weapon imaginable. A joke, alive, growing, and unstoppable. And somewhere, in the infinite darkness between stars, the echo of laughter stretched across the galaxy, a reminder that humanity had found its place. Not through conquest, but through creativity, unpredictability, and courage. The galaxy held its breath. Across countless star systems, civilizations whispered the name of the humans with caution and awe. Fleets that once ruled without question now hesitated, knowing that a single unpredictable act could undo everything. And somewhere, stretching across the void of space, the living joke pulsed brighter than ever, a cosmic force no one could ignore. Commander Jalen Kor stood on the observation deck of the outpost, watching the shapes twist and turn beyond the stars. It had grown immense, stretching beyond the outpost's sensors, forming patterns and symbols that no intelligence could fully decode. Yet, in its chaotic dance, there was order, a strange, perfect order born of unpredictability, creativity, and humor. Mara Chen approached him, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful, Commander. But it's terrifying too." Jalen nodded slowly. "Yes. This is humanity's legacy. Not through conquest or destruction, but through imagination, humor, and the refusal to be predictable. This joke, this force, it's a reflection of who we are. And the galaxy has finally seen it." From the outpost, sensors picked up thousands of alien ships approaching, but this time, they came in peace. Delegates, leaders, and scholars arrived, each cautious, each aware of the living joke that could undo entire fleets in moments. They didn't come to attack, they came to understand, to learn, to negotiate with a species that had proven the impossible. Jalen spoke to Mara quietly. "They've come to respect us. Fear is powerful, yes, but respect, that lasts longer. And it's earned, not given." The alien fleets hovered, unable to penetrate the invisible shield of unpredictability that humanity had created. Every attempt to scan, every attempt to communicate with logic or force failed. And yet, the joke responded, not violently, but with clarity, guiding the humans, showing them the boundaries and possibilities of this strange, living power. A representative of one of the largest alien empires floated in the observation chamber. Its voice, cautious and respectful, said, "Humans, we underestimated you. Your weapon is beyond comprehension. How can a joke become stronger than fleets, stronger than logic itself?" Jalen looked at him steadily. "It's not just a joke. It's a reflection of humanity, our creativity, our unpredictability, our spirit. You cannot calculate it. You cannot control it. You can only respect it, or it will teach you a lesson in ways you cannot imagine." The alien's eyes widened, and for the first time, a flicker of understanding crossed its face. Across the galaxy, others would feel the same realization. Humans were small, fragile, but clever, imaginative, and unstoppable in ways the universe had never expected. Outside, the living joke pulsed, forming a spectacular display. Shapes of light spiraled across space, creating impossible structures, constellations that seemed alive, and figures that laughed and danced, a celebration of humanity itself. The galaxy watched in awe, unable to turn away. Mara whispered, "Commander, do you think it will ever stop?" Jalen shook his head. "No. It will grow with us, learn with us. And every time the galaxy tries to challenge humans, it will remind them why they must never underestimate us again." Across the void, alien fleets sent messages of peace, alliances formed in respect, and civilizations began to see humans differently. Not as weak, fragile creatures barely capable of survival, but as a species that could outthink, outcreate, and outlast in ways no one could predict. The echo of laughter spread, not as a weapon anymore, but as a message, a cosmic signature of humanity. Wherever it reached, systems paused, fleets reconsidered aggression, and minds bent toward understanding. This was no longer just a battle cry, it was a declaration. Humans existed, and they had changed the universe forever. Jalen turned to Mara, a faint smile on his lips. We did it. Not by guns, not by fleets, not by power that others understand. We did it by being human. And the universe finally knows it. The outpost trembled one last time as the joke pulsed outward, carrying laughter, creativity, and the indomitable spirit of humanity across light years. And somewhere, in the endless darkness, stars seemed to twinkle in rhythm with it, as if acknowledging the smallest species that had rewritten the rules of the galaxy. In that moment, Commander Jalen Kor understood the truth. Humans were fragile. Humans were small. But humans were unpredictable. And unpredictability, he realized, could be more powerful than any fleet, any weapon, any empire. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. And the joke, alive and unstoppable, echoed across the cosmos, humanity's most feared and most celebrated battle cry.